So again, I want to just emphasize why I think this idea of combinations and recombinations is so powerful and so exciting. Let's take a metaphor or an analogy from architecture or simple masonry, building things with bricks. If I gave you like 40 bricks or however many cinder blocks, and I showed you how to build this little house, this little castle, that might be very cool for you and fun. But then if I gave you more bricks, you might not know what to do with them. You might just stack them up around the walls of your little house. But if we can think about why this house holds up, that the bricks are connected in a square that supports itself, and if we understand that principle of the square, at least for our analogy in masonry, castle building, then we can say, inside this square, there's a little square. And I can use that little square to deepen it. And I can use that little square to make a bigger square around it. Now, when I give you more bricks, you don't just have to pile them up around your little house. Now you can build a castle, a cathedral. And that is what is so exciting. And that is what most of your teachers mean when they say, write 500 or 5,000 words. They don't mean just think of a few ideas and throw some other words around them. They mean use these principles that you have learned to build a cathedral of ideas, a beautiful edifice that is your point of view or your story using this number of bricks or blocks or words. And that's what I think is so fascinating, that these structures are not about sentences, even though we have looked at sentences. They're about how the ideas function together. And so one more example we'll look at is from the opening paragraphs of Ivanhoe. Now, the first paragraph, I will argue, is a thesis where the first two sentences are a bump. They're about Old England and England today, or at least this part of England. Old England and England today, that means we're talking about the history of England, and we get, in the next sentence, 3 examples of the history of England. And so we have a thesis of 5 ideas, kind of, that are broken up into sentences, kind of, with semicolons. Again, the important thing is how these ideas work together. These 2 are a bump of thesis, and these 3 support that thesis, which is the history of England, or the historical value of England. And now that I have said value, we won't look at the second paragraph in this video. But now, don't think of sentences. Think of the first paragraph. If it's something about value to us as English speakers and learners, the history of this place where English has been spoken. If that paragraph is value, what do you think the next paragraph will be about? What do you think the main theme of the next paragraph will be now that we have learned how ideas can fit together? After value, the next paragraph is probably what? Read it and see if it matches your expectation.